All right, so the question is, I have $20,000 in credit card debt. Unfortunately, I cannot make the minimum payments, or I can only make the minimum payments, and I do not have any extra money to pay more than the minimum payments due to my other bills and rent. What would you recommend that I do? And my credit score is low. I'm not going to mention the credit score on here. Well, I guess I can. I don't have to mention the person's name. And credit score is 560 due to high utilization. Have no access to low interest rates. I guess that would be access to a loan with low interest rate that they got denied. So I'm going to be reaching out to you with this answer, but also I want to talk to you, well, talk to everybody else that might be in this situation, because it all comes down to what is available to you. I think that this is where a lot of the confusion happens. This is where a lot of the frustration happens. This is where you see one solution and then you try to put it on top of your situation, and then it doesn't match. And then people start to say, well, why doesn't it work for me and it worked for them? What comes to my mind is there's like people have this velocity banking where you can go out and you go get a line of credit to utilize velocity banking to pay down your debt. Well, this individual just stated that they got turned down to be able to get a lower interest rate loan. So obviously they wouldn't qualify for it. So we would go backwards for this individual if they're not going to be able to qualify to get their debt reduced by having the interest rate reduced, which would open up the available amount of money because the payments would go down. Then that option is not available to them. And I think that a lot of the confusion, a lot of the headaches and misunderstandings could really be dealt with if everybody understood where their situation is. I remember when I was going through my financial issues, is that one of the things that when my wife and I sat down at that kitchen table in 1994, right before Christmas, we fully understood our situation and what we could and couldn't do. Like, it had gotten to a point to where all of the fantasy stuff was gone. And we said, this is the way forward. And we got very clear on it. So if you're an individual who is paying the minimum payments on your credit cards and you don't have additional money to take care of, to pay down that debt faster, and you feel trapped, and I already know what's running through your mind is you're either thinking, I'm going to let this stuff go because I'm paying and I'm not getting anywhere. Well, let me tell you, as long as you pay, you are getting somewhere. It's just going to take you a lot longer. If you're paying and not recharging, you are getting somewhere. So let's kind of do away with that vague misconception that people put out there when they say, well, I got this high interest rate card and I'm paying the minimum payments and I'm not getting anywhere. You are getting somewhere as long as you're not paying something and then recharging the card. You are getting somewhere. So that would be number one. If you don't want to make any changes, you don't want to blow up your credit, you don't want to do anything that's going to hurt your situation so you can move forward, and potentially something could open up to where you get more income. Something could happen that could work in your favor, because if you're thinking positive minded, something could happen in your favor to where you will get something to be able to take down that debt. The other thing that you need to do, which you did not state in your when you worded your message to me in the live chat, is that you didn't talk anything about, did you go through and slash everything that could be slashed with what you're paying on with extra stuff, cable, I mean the luxuries. I mean, I hate to say it, but it might be that point to where all the luxuries got to go. When I went through it, so I'm not speaking to someone where I'm just trying to say that this is the easy way to do something, because I had to go through this myself. And there was vehicles that my wife and I gave back. We was like, it's over with, send them back. And we negotiated the differences after they sold them at auction. And I was driving a raggedy, beat up truck. Credit cards were tore up and stopped using them. Several things. We cut, we kept the cable, but all of the other stuff we stopped doing. No eating out. Rarely. I took my lunch to work, even though I own my own business. I took my lunch to work. Like, we really slashed everything. And when we did that, we found out that it's rare if you have income. It's rare that you don't have enough income. What it is that you have a spending problem, where you're not budgeting your money and know what's coming in, and they make it easy for us to go out and get loans, and you pay the small payment, and all of a sudden all of that just stacks up, and all of a sudden you're like, I owe all of this money, and all of the money that I have coming in is just going out. So the next step would be, did you cut? And for you that are watching this video, are you willing to cut things out so you can get your budget, your household budget under control? How important is it for you? Because some people, they talk a good game, but when it comes to cutting and doing some stuff, they're not willing to do it. The next thing that you could do potentially, if it's just at that situation of where you need to get some money to be able to move forward, like maybe in a month or two, things are going to be turning around, but right now it's just too tight. You can contact your creditors and ask for a deferment. The interest is still going to accrue over that period of time, so it is going to, your balances will increase, but you can get some room and maybe put some money aside and pay down the lower debts, potentially. But you got to write this out. This is not a move that you just, go and just decide to make. You need to write this out and say, is this a move that we could do? And your credit is not going to be hurt when you do this. And you need to get everything in writing when you do the deferments. But your credit will not be hurt. You can save some money if you do it and you put it in a plan together on all of your consumer debt, and you save some money, put aside, and then you pay down debt. Look, even if you don't do it, look at how your situation could improve by just being able to get the deferments. So we're cutting. Well, first we're just continuing to pay, and you're not recharging on the debt. It may not seem like you're getting somewhere, but you are getting somewhere. You're not recharging. The next is you continue with that, slash your budget, slash your spending. Look at everything that you're spending money on. What I tell people to do, if you're having a hard time figuring that out, keep every receipt on everything that you spend for 2 weeks. And then from everything that you spent for 2 weeks, then you need to look at what was essential, and you start slashing there. Next thing is you can look at what it would look like if you were able to get deferments on your car, deferments on all of the credit cards, any personal loans, and even student loans, because they put those back into action now. You might be able to even get a hardship deferment on those. Look at what you might be able to do. How much money would that put in your pocket? Could you potentially pay down some of the smaller debt? And if you pay down the smaller debt, how much money would that put into your pocket for the household? So you got 3 things that you can do right there without even ruining your credit. Without ruining your credit. Which are things that my wife and I did, but we still had to ruin our credit. And that's what goes into the next phase. If it just gets to where you cannot make it, and this is what we had to do, And the reason why some people have to do it is because family will not survive, be able to have transportation and shelter over their head, which is the situation that a lot of people end up getting into. And then your credit ends up getting destroyed. And what's going to end up happening is these companies, depending on what type of debt it is, it's going to charge off after a certain period of time. Charge off does not mean that you don't owe the debt. What it means is that it's taken off of the good books and put on the bad books, non-performing accounts, and they're going to decide on how they're going to come after you for it. Depending on what type of account it is, depending on what type of account and who is the creditor, will depend on what type of action they will usually take. American Express, Discover, Capital One, Barclays, those companies usually maintain their debt and they will sue people for those debts. They will take you to court and try to sue you to try to get a judgment and then garnish your wages. The other companies will usually sell it off in a package, and this could actually take some time. What I don't want you to do is that if you decide to take that option, is to just, because you got the relief and you're not paying those payments anymore, that you go and you start spending that money. And some of you don't have the extra money, but the majority of you do have the extra money. And you know that if you stop paying all of that stuff and you just had your rent or your mortgage and your cars, and you just let everything else go, you got money. So don't tell me you won't have some. I'm not saying you're rich, but I'm saying that you have money. But what most people end up doing is they end up going out and spending that money, and that's what you shouldn't do. Is that you should put that money that you have to good work, and you need to start preparing for the day that they either sue you so you can do settlements, or longer down the line so you can approach them for settlements. Some of you might be thinking of bankruptcy, and this is not legal advice, but if you are in that situation, that may be an option. That might be an option. Some of you may be thinking about doing debt settlement or relief. These companies that where they say debt settlement or debt relief, they're all the same. What they do is they're going to tell you to stop paying your payments, which is something that we do not do. Don't come to me with credit card debt and ask me, should you stop paying? I'm just going to tell you straight up. I'm going to say you should pay, and then you make your own decisions on if you cannot pay. I'm going to always tell you to pay. I'm not going to be no one in my company, and I'm not going to be the one to tell you to stop paying your debts. This is a decision that you make based on your own feelings and what you're going through financially. What I will say is that you do not need to make yourself ill overpaying your debts. And that's going to be, that determination is going to come from everybody individually. There is no book on what makes you feel like you don't even want to live anymore because of how much debt and the stress that you're going through and the fighting and the arguing that you're going through with your spouse, or not able to keep stability in your household. Everybody has their own tolerance on that. And so some of you may be where you need to go to bankruptcy, but you need to sit down and you need to make those decisions. You treat your finances like a business. Treat it like a business, and you're going to make those decisions based on that. Next thing is, so if you end up reaching out to one of the debt settlement companies, this is what they're going to tell you to do. They're going to tell you to stop paying your payments, and your credit card debt and whatever other debt you put into that program is going to stop. It's going to charge off after a certain period of time. They're going to want you to pay a portion of the monthly payments. So say you had $1,000 in monthly payments, they're going to say pay $500. They're going to want that to build up in an escrow account, and they're going to try to approach your charged off debt to do settlements, and there is a premium. So don't sit there and think that because you owed this one company $2,500 and you put 5 payments of $500 that's enough to settle that account. No, you need 20 to 25%, depending on the company that you're dealing with. You're going to need 20 to 25% more. So if you owed them $5,000 and they came back and said, we'll settle for $2,500, they will not. I don't care what any of them say. They will not settle it. They're going to tell you you don't have enough money to settle. Mark my word on it. I've had people come to me. I've even seen it myself where someone allowed me to log into their account and it showed that they had the money to settle, and they said that they would not settle it because they don't have enough for the fee. I don't care. That's what I was shown. So that's what you're going to be dealing with. Not to say that it won't work. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just telling you straight up what you're going to be going through so you won't have no surprises. If you use my company, number one, you have to already have it charged off, and we're going to ask you how much money you would like to settle, and we have a fee based on the amount of work that we believe it's going to take dealing with that specific creditor. We've dealt with almost every one of them, and we know how much back and forth work it's going to take to deal with them, and we'll let you know a fee, but it has to already be a charged off account that you stop paying. Also, if you come to us, we do not allow people to use retirement accounts, stuff like that for settlements. We don't feel comfortable with telling people to do that, because we know that if you have something in retirement and you take that money out, you're going to get penalized, but also you're going to lose that time period. And I just don't think that it's a wise thing to do. It might be something that you have to do to get everything off your back so you can continue moving forward, but we don't advise it. We don't advise it. So I want to be clear on that. We've had some questions from people that asked about that, and we just don't advise it. That's a decision that an individual has to make on their own. And I don't even think any company should ever tell you to take it out of your retirement. I just don't feel comfortable with that, because you're going to get penalized just for taking the money out of that account early. Next thing is debt consolidation. I kind of spoke on that. If you have assets like a home and you know that you're going to stick with it, the debt consolidation loan, which is not debt settlement or debt relief, this is a loan, could potentially help you and also save your credit in some situations. There may be certain restrictions. You need to look at everything, because I've seen, if you own a home, that they could potentially attach that debt to your home. Not where they could take like a first position, but they would have a position on that asset. It varies from state to state. Some states don't allow it. In my state of Wisconsin, it is something that is allowed. So if you refinance and get a debt consolidation loan and you use your property as the collateral, that can happen, because in some cases they would be like, why you don't have no collateral? Yeah, your credit is good, but you're going to just get the loan and you might just balloon up all the credit cards again. And what are we going to be left with? We're going to be left with you not paying us, and when we could have just not gave you the loan. So this is something that some of the companies require. So I hope that everybody is looking forward to the new year, and that you start making your plans right now. Don't wait for the new year to make your plans. You need to start making your plan. You need to make your plans year round. And even if you don't accomplish your goals right away, you need to just reset. You'll see that if you do that throughout the year, rather than waiting till the end of the year for the new year, that you're going to get a lot more accomplished. We get flooded with a lot of people who want to repair their credit in the new year. And I really wish that everybody would just constantly work on your credit and keep pushing forward and resetting if you have to reset, because you're going to get it's like exercising. If you exercise every day, you're going to get a lot further than someone who exercises once a week or once a month. That's just the way it is with everything that we do in life. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters. Statute of limitations letter for debt that's past legal statute of limitations to collect. Cease and desist collection activities letter for debt that is not past legal statute of limitation, but you can potentially stop them from coming after you because you're going to ask them certain questions that they don't expect you to ask of them having your debt. And then a debt validation letter to go back and forth. Use the one that pertains to you. The letters are free, but I do ask for a donation to help monetize my time here making these